Hello, and welcome to episode 58 of Friends of the Show. I am Stephen W. Skinner, and this is my podcast where I chat with some of the funniest people whom are online. This week's friend is a very funny comedian and actress who has appeared on Comedy Central, Drew TV, and recently a sketch on Late Night with Stephen Colbert. It's Abbi Crutchfield. She's at Curly Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. Now, this was a great chat, and we covered her work in the entertainment industry, managing multiple Instagram accounts, and how to handle trolls in a positive way. Abbi was also so great in her answers to questions submitted by our listeners. Thank you, question askers. So, please enjoy Friends of the Show, episode 58 with At Curly Comedy. Ready and podcast. Podcast. So hello, welcome to Friends of the Show. This week's friend is a very funny actress, comedian, and writer seen on Comedy Central, NBC, TBS, lives in the Big Apple, New York City. She's a working mom, very nice online. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Curly Comedy. It's Abbi Crutchfield. Welcome.
Yay! What an intro. My goodness. I expected an audience full of applause there.
Woo! Yeah, I'll put it in post. Thousands on their feet and cheering as you're used to. So, well, yeah, welcome to the show, Abbi.
Thanks for having me. It's a gorgeous day in New York right now.
Oh, it sounds gorgeous. Yeah, I'm in Canada, and it's still gorgeous up in here in southern Ontario, so we're not too far away geographically. Okay. We're probably both enjoying the same sunshine.
Lovely.
Are you out and about in the city?
Well, I just popped downstairs to let my dogs go to the bathroom. So, no, I'm just in my neighborhood.
Oh, pretty cool. You're enjoying the sights and sounds of the Big Apple. What do you see? What's going on in the city today? Everyone out there enjoying the sun?
I did there. Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon, so usually it's quiet. But now that the weather's nice, the streets are filled. And just yesterday we had a Pride Festival on Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn, so it was kind of a big deal with a lot of kiosks and stuff. So yeah, a lot of people come out.
Oh, nice. A big day out in the city, celebrating Pride. A lot of rainbow
flags. It feels like when the weather
flags.
gets nicer, people just multiply, not by procreation, but just by cloning. Like they just
Probably
appear
both.
in greater numbers.
Probably both. Yeah, finally, we're finally getting some nice weather. We've been cursed with a super long winter, not very many nice days. So, and even still, like, it's not the normal weather for June. But hopefully by August, or July and August, I think we're supposed to get a normal summer. But
yeah, I was noticing on Instagram my posts from March had snow in the background. I don't know. It's easy to forget that.
Yeah,
once the
let's
nice
forget about that.
My memory is wiped of the misery.
Yeah, I think we need to forget about that and just embrace the beautiful sunshiny days when we get them. So yeah, great weekend weather-wise. Hopefully, where you're listening right now, it's nice weather for you.
Yeah, I like just giving your fans a weather report for the whole episode.
I want to know what's happening, in your neighborhood. You're like, oh, Jeff's at it again. He's out on the corner. He's yelling.
Exactly.
Do you get a lot of that?
It's actually really quiet in my neighborhood right now. Usually, there's always some drama, but including traffic. But no, it was dead quiet out there. I'm going to bring the dogs inside now. We're going to go into my quiet apartment.
The dogs are in.
They can get set off pretty easily.
Let's give a shout out to the dogs. Tell us about the dogs.
They are Sherlock and Watson. They're half bulldog, half Shar-Pei. So they've got wrinkles and smushed noses, and most people think they're ugly, but in an endearing way.
Oh, that's great. So
you can find them on Instagram at Bullpay Attention. It's a pun.
Okay, all right.
BULLPEI.
So they got their own Instagram. They're online. How many followers do they got? They popular?
I think no, not really. I think only about 500. But I'm pretty dedicated to posting, so it's more of like a home scrapbook that people are invited to look at if they want to. So I definitely speak on Sherlock's behalf, and the people who do follow engage pretty regularly. But no, I haven't cracked the code on how to get them out into the world. Well, they don't lead very interesting lives, I guess.
Hey, 500 followers is not nothing.
This is true. 500 people can't fit in my apartment. So
that's right.
That's a lot of people.
So a lot of fans of the Sherlock and Watson. That's cute that they're like a little duo. Mm-hmm. It's fun.
Yeah, well, in reality, they're really tight. But on Instagram, Sherlock does all the talking because he hates his brother. So he's just jealous.
Oh,
so he always puts him down. And I don't know. Maybe that's a little off-putting for people to see. They're just like, it's not some like, look at my two dogs. It's like, look at this idiot.
So it's like there's some sort of storyline going on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to be interested if I'm going to be posting about it. I can't just have it be like, and here they are again, taking a nap on my couch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care for those kind of internet stories.
Like, here they are, sleeping again.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when YouTube vloggers begin, hey, guys. It's just like, how many people begin the exact same way? Or like, hey guys, sorry I haven't posted in a while. I've been bogged down with studies, and it's just like, just cut all of that out and get right to the drama.
The guys do not care.
No, we don't need to be greeted. Just cut. It's like Shakespeare always began with like action. Just go straight to the action, please.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we could learn some stuff from that guy. He had some good stuff going on. Tell us about yourself. You're in New York City. We've established that. You got dogs. We've established it. What else can you tell us about yourself?
Very funny. As we've already established, I'm a weather person.
Been established.
I'm a freelance meteorologist. Let's see. Well, can I give you the micro details of my life? I spent the last 2 months growing out my eyebrows, which sounds like it's not interesting. But trust me, when you're living it, it's a painstaking process. Nothing has made life seem longer than just waiting for a few hairs to sprout where there used to just be bald skin. So I don't know if you have ever had to pluck your eyebrows in your life, but women are kind of taught early on, maybe even in middle school, that it's not appropriate to just let your eyebrows grow naturally. And hopefully the tide's turning on that.
Yeah, I have been, I am adjacent to the eyebrow situation. I know my wife deals with this. And during the grow out season or whatever, she is always complaining about, I hate it. I'm just like, they look fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, nobody can see the things that you're seeing because I'm looking directly in the mirror, like very, very closely. But also, it is weird that it seems so painful because it's just us fighting. Women are constantly fighting that urge that it's inappropriate to have like extra hair. I mean, think about how weird it seems when people have underarm hair. That's still kind of a random thing to see someone show full bushy pits.
Yeah, and if they do, people are like, "Oh wow, what a hippie." What a real hippy dippy do. Bet you got some, where's your hemp farm? You got dreads.
So yeah, there's this stigma that you're fighting subconsciously the whole way through of waiting for your eyebrows to grow in. But anyway, once they get to like something that doesn't look so patchy, and maybe men experience this when they're trying to grow in facial hair, and if you're like Keanu Reeves and you can only grow 3 hairs at a time on your chin. And so it's really patchy and slow. You
know what, Abby? You really hit the nail on the head. That is my issue. I can't grow a good beard. Can't do it. Just doesn't fill in on the cheeks. The most I can get is like a...
He's a stud. He's, it's Keanu Reeves. You gonna tell him that he's not cool? You can do it, Steven.
Yeah, you really just got to stick with it and just embrace the super patchiness of it, I guess. And then one day it'll all fill over itself, I guess.
So here's a macro view of myself. Now that you know about my eyebrow struggles, I have been in New York for almost 15 years doing live comedy in some form or another, consistently with stand-up, but also in the past I've been on a house sketch team at UCB Theater. I've done independent improv groups, and I have taught a Twitter writing class. Like, it was really just a joke writing, how to hone your own format and find your voice and also build an audience on social media. So a lot of what I've done through the past decade and a half has been actually only what I've done has been through comedy. So kind of expressing myself creatively or encouraging others. So that's not how, I don't think how your listeners might know me. I think your listeners might have seen me subconsciously, like on a commercial or something. Like if they see my face and think it's familiar, it's either because they've seen me on a commercial or because my look is being used right now.
Oh yeah, it's a hot look.
Oh yeah. It's a very, you know, I'm a human being with all of my teeth, so it's a look that people like to use.
It's a great look.
And yeah, thanks. And so yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you need to know? Do you need to know like what my favorite snacks are?
Yeah,
or
we'll get to the snacks. Yeah, that's a great overview. Just like so that they have an idea that you're out there and you're in the industry. So yeah, so we can talk about that. You got some credits. I should do a Mark Maron thing. Just open up your IMDb and just scroll through.
Oh, you know what? My IMDb is actually horrible. I need to learn how to fix it the way people fix their Wikipedia page, because it only lists some things that I've forgotten that I've done, like some very independent friend projects, but it doesn't list the actual, like maybe Comedy Central's on there, but I've been on Broad City, but I've also was on the President's Show when they did Anthony Tamanick did a great Donald Trump impression. And so this President's Show, I believe, was on for 2 seasons, but then they got renewed for a special. So it was like a long special, and Kathy Griffin was in it, playing Kellyanne Conway. So I was on that. I've been an on-camera host for People on their online streaming morning show, People Now. So I got to interview a ton of celebrities during the time I did that.
Who were some good guests that who did you talk to on that?
I liked 50 Cent. I liked Rob Reiner, Kevin Nealon. Jenny McCarthy was very cool. Morgan Freeman was, I think, my very second guest.
Oh, wow.
And so I was still very, very nervous, but like, it was cool. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the reality TV world come through there.
Right.
And you do a lot of royal baby coverage. I can't believe how many royal babies exist now, because back then it seemed like a lot, but they just keep on coming.
I'm pretty sure that royals and royal baby coverage are really what's keeping people going. Like those
Some
are the
people, like that's their livelihood.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like those issues of the royal, like the first pictures of baby George in his suspenders, like special edition with like the gold border or whatever. I happen to know some older folks who definitely will never not buy every single royal baby pictures issue of People, and they have a huge like stack fading in the living room.
There's
or whatever.
just something about it, and it is funny to think that people make their primary living off of that. I love niche jobs like that, like if you run a doggy bakery or something, or you do goat yoga. Like it's a very, very specific kind of job to have.
Mm-hmm, yeah, people who and I think in England, whatever, it's pretty big too with the people like make a plate for everything. Like you got a spoon, something commemorative.
It keeps the shelving industry in business.
Oh yeah, the tchotchke industry is thriving.
You can't just like plates flat. You got to have them upright.
You need to stand.
When I was younger, we would get the Sunday paper, and there would always be the comics that I would go for right away. But there was a little smaller insert called Parade Magazine, and it kind of covered celebrity news, and it had like a Q&A with a genius named Marilyn Beausavant. But anyway, the part I liked was the advertisements for collectibles, and there would be like ceramic angel babies and commemorative plates and coins. And I don't know why. It was just like the fact that they were in a studio and had their own spotlight just always made them seem really special to me. Not that I ever wanted them, but I always like going to that page and being like, what are people collecting now?
Yeah, we're like, who is buying this stuff really, and where is it going? It's like,
and I'm a horrible collector. Oh, go on, Steve. Go.
No, it's like I finally found out where it is. It's like in those episodes of Hoarders. You're like, oh, there's some of the stuff. It's under that big pile of stuff in this hoarder's house. Like, oh, that person bought it. Oh, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop.
Okay, so you were saying...
Oh, did I disconnect? I was saying
I missed the last thing you said.
It was about hoarders, and that's where the stuff goes.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I was going to say about me. It's like, ideally, when you collect something, it's because you love it and treasure it, so you want to keep it dusted all the time and on prominent display in your home. But if you go crazy for something, you just run out of space. So I have nail polish that I initially was going to put on a shelf in one room of my house, like by my vanity, and picture 50 bottles on the wall. Now it's gone like upwards of 2,000. And so it's spilling out of drawers. It's in shoe boxes. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a hoarder's house.
Holy
cow.
So
that was something I wasn't going to disclose, but now you know. And
now we know. Let's get into it.
Nail art
so
Instagram
that is a lot. Okay. All right. There's a reason. So let's get into it. You got different Instagrams. You got your pet Instagram. What other Instagrams? The nail art is a good one.
Yeah, the nail art has almost the same following as my comedy regular Instagram. So Curly Comedy is my regular personal Instagram where I kind of cover my live comedy shows and just daily life. And then Curly Comedy Nail Art is a very, very nerdy nail polish site. So it's not just pictures of my own nail art that I paint on my nails, but it's like times I've gone shopping for nail polish, discount finds, techniques, like things I've borrowed from YouTube. So it's just very... If you don't like nail polish, you'll learn to like obsess about it. If you follow me long enough, you'll be like, ooh, I need to know what this formula is like. What's the viscosity on that one?
Viscosity is important, right? You want a good thickness, right? You want it to glomp right on.
You like it to be opaque, or you have to learn how to deal with it if it doesn't go on really easily. I like to figure out like what's the right way to paint this to also make it look nice if it's very patchy or if it's like, very congealed. So I was posting pictures on my regular comedy account too often. And so I thought, I need to take this elsewhere. It's kind of like when people have their own private baby account when they have a kid because they're just like, I'm obsessing and now people are getting tired of this. So they make their own account for their kids so they can just do it to their heart's content.
Yeah, it's good. It's smart. It's for when people, if you have this one niche speciality or whatever that you're into, and people are sort of like, your general friend base is like, maybe a little bit enough with the one specific thing.
It's a real test of friendship.
That's a good time where you're like, oh, I should start my own thing for this. And then the people who really want to can seek it out, like the people who are really into the nail polish scene or whatever, general, like the makeup blog scene is pretty huge, and I'm sure there's tons of subsets of all different kinds, right?
And
someone's an eyeshadow lady.
And there are hobbyists out there with the weirdest thing. On Instagram, you'll find like slime videos of just people who like to dig their fingers into, just I guess toy gack or like kids slime, and then other people who like to listen to it. So it's got, and I also found like by accident, I found like a latex fetish community. So it's not just like one person showing off their various latex masks like people show off their new pairs of shoes, but it would be other people who are like commenting, oh, you're so good at that, I want to learn how to do this, and I'm just a novice latex wearer. And I'm like, how does this have levels? My gosh.
There's a niche for every little subreddit community. There's like a niche, and people who are really interested in that one thing. And that's how the internet works, and that's why it's great. It's for like micro community building.
Yes. And now how I know how you're a part of my community is through Twitter. So I spend a ton of time and energy just crafting jokes and sharing them with people who I think are funny and trying to build an audience of people who think I'm funny on Twitter at Curly Comedy.
Yeah, me too. That's why we're all there, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are mutuals, let's say. And
what's up, friends?
Yeah, what's up? Shout out to all the mutuals. Give us a follow on Twitter. Send us a note if you're a mutual and you enjoy comedy.
There's finally a motorcycle. I don't know if you picked that
on
up
time.
On but
yeah, was that Keanu Reeves riding down the street?
It probably was. He's like, did somebody call me? He's good at making entrances.
Well, the perfect timing. So yeah, that's a nice segue. So online friends, you're making a good network community online. So yeah, me too. That's what we're doing. So what are some things that are key elements of building nice online relationships with people online?
Okay, well, let me talk about like etiquette first, because I don't really know how you can build a true friendship, like chemistry. I don't know where that comes from. And also effort of getting to know a stranger through the internet. I don't really know how to do that because I keep people at a distance unless we are going to interact regularly in real life. But when it comes to like generating kind of a community online, I think that you have to, if you like someone, let them know you like them. So you can't just stalk them by like consuming their comedy and retweeting them. I think it's good to engage by like replying, or if you're going to shout them out like with a Follow Friday or some kind of promotion endorsement, you should say why you like them. And not only because it tells your followers who already trust you why they should listen to this guy you think is funny or this woman you think is funny, but it also shows the person you think is funny, that you're paying attention. And it's, it's very flattering to them. So I think, when it comes to creating an online community, follow people who are like-minded, who are posting stuff that you care about, whether it's funny or not, and then engage with them by sharing their work with your followers, commenting on them, giving them an endorsement, which is like an individual tweet about it. And that's a good start. And then, like there's I've seen different ways of people doing it. Sometimes people will just creep into your comments. They happen to follow you, but they never retweet you. They just always reply to your stuff.
Yeah.
And if their replies are always funny, then that's another way of kind of endearing yourself to them. Or how they've endeared themselves to me, I should say. But I prefer the first method of just like, hey, I see your work. I like your work. I'm sharing your work with friends, and I'm going to compliment you publicly. It's like kind of like I think a much better way to do it than just sliding into someone's DMs and complimenting them. I feel like that's much more forward. Yeah, that's a little too forward.
It's forward, and it's also not public, right? So it's, I mean, that old business thing, like praise in public, shame in not shame, but scold in private
like
or whatever.
criticism?
Yeah. Criticize in public and in private. So the same sort of idea, and those are three great key points. And you mentioned about engaging with the content or the tweets and stuff that you like or are interested in, and it is a good. It is a good barrier breaker for if it is a stranger, like it's not just someone who's liking and retweeting, because it's like, oh, that shows up once. But if you're replying, if you're trying to engage with them, that's like another level, right? Like you're taking the time to sort of try and get a conversation going. And if they're interested in your end, then that's a great start for a potential online relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And then you can check in on people. Now, what I've noticed lately is there seems to be like more of a connection or more of an intimacy level than what I was initially like. I joined Twitter in 2008, and I didn't start really making regular jokes on there till 2010. So it's been about 9 years of treating it just like comedy. But what I notice now is these communities of people who consider themselves friends who also happen to be funny. Sometimes they'll just say, hey, here's a selfie of what I'm doing on Friday night. Now reply with your selfie. And I'm sure you've seen that many times, because I see it pretty much every other day now. But it works. It just gets all these people to like have their friends come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, you know me, I'm sitting on my farm. Or someone else will be like, it's just me and my dog because my leg's still broken. And that's another great way, too, to stay in touch and like, keep top of mind of what's going on in people's lives. And it's also an outlet for people to be able to share what's going on in their life.
Dang, that's true. Yeah, whatever drives engagement, right? Because that's the key to a good community. Like an engaged community is good. And while those selfie calls aren't really the normal content, you'd say like jokes are sort of the normal for the community. But those are sort of great check-ins. Be like, oh yeah, we're still here, we're engaged, and what are we doing right now? Because it's like everything is just now, right? Like it only matters what's happening now.
Yeah, which is cool about the internet, because like not everybody's located in the same state. So if it is just you and your friends on a text thread, that's one thing. You guys will eventually meet up at your local diner. But when you have a friend, across the world, it's a really great way to connect, because you guys are like-minded. You click, you like to laugh together. And now you can also share in your boring monotony together.
Yeah, and be like, oh, wow, that's what being bored over there is like, as opposed to what being bored here is like. Yeah, we're all just on our phones, but you're on your phone in a very cool place where I've never been.
Exactly. Like your backdrop is fascinating. Or even just like, I was talking to we haven't even talked about chat rooms yet, but I have this great chat room that I love. It's all women comedians. And we go there most of the time to like talk, draft help, like, hey, I'm writing a joke. What do you think of this? And then we tweak it for each other. But lately, just like, this is what I'm plagued by in my life. Like right now, I hate this thing going on, And so I sent a picture. This is so dumb, but I sent a picture of a friend in France who, like, I was just like, I feel like I'm stalking this person because I'm the only person that ever comments on their posts. And I sent a screenshot of just me being like, Abby likes this. And they noticed that he was on a boat, and that on the boat there was Doritos brand salsa. And they're like, you're friends with someone who buys Doritos brand salsa. It's just such a tiny little niche thing to notice, but it's just like, you're right. I don't know why Tostitos is somehow better, but it's just kind of like in France.
The ubiquitous brand, here.
I just like, I extrapolate. I like to imagine just in France, we buy everything that's made by Doritos except for the actual chips. We just, Don't you enjoy Doritos brand ice cream?
I mean, Doritos has its claws in a lot of different things in the snack game.
In the whole, it's worldwide.
In the food game, yeah. I mean, their partnership with Taco Bell was a real game changer.
It's true. Although now they're just like giving away the Doritos Taco Loco. They're like, if you just show up, we'll just give you a Dorito Loco Taco.
And I think there was some bad press maybe with that the rapper getting sick. Remember that?
Oh,
he was
no.
eating
Who got sick?
It was Lil Xan, I think, because he was eating too many Flamin' Hot Cheetos. That's what they said.
Oh, snap. I love Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
So I think maybe that, I don't know if that panned out to be true, but that's what I think that was his diagnosis. He was like, these Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
You know what? Excess is always going to be a problem. Moderation is key. Kids at home listening who don't know the word moderation.
Yep. Be sure to moderate chat rooms. That's what we're talking about, right?
I hate that. Is such a responsibility. I hate being invited into too many DM rooms, and then for some reason when you want to leave one, you just have to leave them all, which is so sad. But it's just like you get overwhelmed. I don't know if the average Twitter user has this problem, because I didn't learn about DM rooms until honestly 1 or 2 years ago, and it was the one. Are you in the teeth chat room? One about teeth?
Nope.
Okay, there's one about teeth.
Yeah,
it's great.
I've heard about this,
guys.
And I think we've talked about it on the podcast before. But and shout out to Brandon, the teeth father.
So anyway, it's just random, but I'm sure all DM rooms are like this. But and even great ones that you have a great time in, you just are like, I can't keep getting all these updates, and someone will say, "Well, just mute the updates," and then you try to mute it and it doesn't work, and you're just like, I need a life back. So yeah, DM rooms are like a step too far for me. I only like 1 or 2 at a time.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's the trick. It's a spectrum, right? Some people can handle more DM rooms, and some people are like, it is too much. It's like a 24/7 nonstop chat in your pocket with all the people who are in it, right? Chatting, and they could be all from all over the world, different time zones. So, like middle of the night chats going off.
Exactly.
And
that's
and
true.
if
That's
you
part of the problem.
If for some reason you had notifications on, that would be insane. I remember I got added to a DM room and I was in a movie, and all of a sudden I just felt my phone just like going off, and I was like, either one of my tweets is going viral, which I highly doubt, or so I had to like take my phone out in the theater and like mute. Like I had been added to 2 DM rooms actually at the same time. That's why it was super nuts. I had to friggin'
That's funny.
And I had to mute them, but it is a lot, right? So you have to.
That's nice though. That makes you feel pretty popular.
It feels good getting added to a DM room, especially if you're with a bunch of like-minded people and maybe some new people that you didn't know before, right? So
it definitely gives you a chance to follow people in a more kind of like they've been vetted for way. Did you catch me on that? I feel like there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get added, you could be like, oh, so it's like I follow already 80% of the people in the room are mutuals. Who are these other 20%? Go check them out, check out their stuff, maybe give them a follow, and test it out. It's a good way to sort of meet new people. Yeah, you're right. But it is a lot, right? And a lot of people do mass leave DM rooms, or they'll take breaks very frequently, and it's understandable because it's a lot. Like if you're a person who sort of compulsively checks and you have to check everything on your phone, or like get updated on everything when you check, then I can see how that would be extra time consuming if you already are in a few group chats and you get added to one more that's just one extra thing, and you open up that group chat and it's like
for sure
350 missed messages. Like how are you ever gonna
who owns a phone that isn't all about checking their notifications? Like I just don't know anybody who doesn't knee jerk. Like that's how I think how our brains work. So
I think our brains have been changing.
Your mind.
It's changing our brains. It's really screwing us up, and we'll definitely see the results of it in the next 50 years or something,
well, I don't
maybe
know.
sooner.
I'm not a scientist. I can't prove that that's true, but
oh no, for sure. And
even
like physically, right? Like all of our shoulders and necks are like slouched forward. It's like when you look down, it's like 6 pounds of pressure on the back of your neck or whatever. So like the back of our necks are getting super like screwed up from like looking down at our phones. And that's just one of the things. Like that's not.
Is this what Google Glass was trying to fix? They're like, just put it in front of your eyeballs.
That's what it should be.
And we're like, we're not wearing glasses, nerd.
Yeah, it should be like that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where everyone gets addicted to that video game, and it would look just like Google Glass. It just projected it right onto your eyeball.
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's
man,
hilarious. What
it's
year
a
did that come out?
It's a Wesley focused one. It's a Wesley episode.
Yeah, because he's the youth.
Yeah, he's the young. No, he was like he didn't get addicted to the game or something. Mm-hmm. Anyways, everyone check out Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I just might. I got to look up which season that came out in, because like that people are inspired by real life events when they write shows like that. So it's like, what was the trend? It wasn't Pokemon Go, because that was much later.
It must have been like Nintendo, one of the earlier consoles. Like
right,
it must have been when people were like, "Oh, video games are bad for the youths."
Well, that's what you were just like, "Oh, the social media is bad for
it's bad,
our physical bodies going long term." But everybody, I think it's just natural to fear what kind of bad is technology going to bring. Like we all want it. We all want the Jetsons lifestyle, but then once we have it, we're like, how is this going to change things for the worse?
Yeah, exactly. And if the new season of Black Mirror just dropped, so
I was so burned by Bandersnatch. I hated it so much. I just thought I can't watch shows that are a waking nightmare. I have nightmares on my own. I don't need extra ones while I'm awake.
Yeah, actually, I skipped that one. So that's the only one that I haven't seen.
It does not get my stamp of approval. Although, entertainment wise, the talent was good and the directing was good, yada, yada, yada. But as far as the story goes, not my cup of tea.
And kind of an interesting thing, right? It's like outside of the box, even though it's like sort of a thing that's been done. It's a known thing, but like they didn't realize that they had like the infrastructure to sort of pull that off, right?
Yeah, you mean Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Like giving people the option.
The option, yeah.
Do you know what it reminds me of? This is in the 90s. They had, I know this because in Living Single was on. This is a show about 4 women who are friends and working professionals. And so, like, whatever network that was, maybe it was Fox, maybe it was CW or something, they had a promotion with one of the fast food chains, like maybe Burger King. And they were like, if you get this scratch-off card, it'll be smell-o-vision. So when you watch this episode of this particular show, and I remember one was in Living Single. I keep confusing it with In Living Color. And Living Color. So Living Single, which is Living Single, they were eating breakfast and they're like, scratch off number 4. And it was just the smell of waffle syrup, but it was such an artificial maple syrup smell. And I was like, this is smell-o-vision. So anyway, that's what that reminded me of.
I think that's a genius idea. How come they haven't tried that again? You could do it with like TV shows. Be like, scene 1, scratch this.
Forensic Files in the
Scene
morgue.
2, the guy farts. Scratch this one.
This guy farts. Scratch it.
It'd be great.
Yeah, they should. I mean, if they can sell jelly beans that taste like boogers, why not?
Why not? Yeah, science. Why? We're waiting for you. Yeah, I think they have stuff like that though already. They have movies that are 4D or whatever. Where they spray water. I think that's the main.
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and the Koch Museum, I believe, has a theater that has an interactive kind of seat that makes you. I think that's where it was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, the seat will move, and then they'll spray water on you.
Yeah. Anyways, it's the rumble seat. I haven't gotten sprayed on yet, but yeah.
All right, very good.
Did you hear they're coming up with like an adult theater that has the same concept? I feel like all the late night shows made fun of it already, so there's no use in bringing it up now. But just like the idea that you're getting the feeling part of it is like the last thing you want to do.
Yeesh. Speaking of late night shows, weren't you just featured on a late night show?
I was. I got to be in a sketch on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and Jeff Goldblum was starring in it. It's called Let Jeff Goldblum Do Your Taxes.
That's so great. I mean, Jeff Goldblum, enough said, like, legendary. Oh, yeah. I would be, that would be like a life bucket list thing just to like meet him, right? So very cool.
It was really cool. I didn't get to meet him on the shoot, but I had met him when he was on Broadway. He did a show called The Pillow Man, and I stayed back by the door where he would sign autographs, and he came out and I took a picture with him and got to talk with him then. So that was really, really fun. And then getting to work with him later, how cool is that?
Of course. Very cool. So you did it.
Stephen was reading a magazine at the time I told that story. You're like, huh? Yeah, great.
Well, I was going to try to do a Jeff Goldblum impression. I'm like, wait, have I ever tried that? No, it's not going to work. No, I should not do that. Check. So I started to do it, and then I'm like, this isn't really anything. People are definitely not going to know what I'm doing, and you definitely did not know what I was doing. But
well,
that's
on the
fine.
bright side, you've got here's my impression of a guy who wasn't listening, but very good at pretending like he was listening.
Here's my guy bailing on a Jeff Goldblum impression. And there you have it.
That's an innovative impression that no one's ever seen before.
Well, we did it. All right, so we talked about online friends, but have we talked about trolling?
Oh, yeah.
Trolling. All right, so
I believe that a troll is just a friend waiting to happen.
Oh, wow, that's a very positive, optimistic view.
Well, you've already got their attention. They're already taking time out of their day to see what's going on in your world. They're just flipping it and making it negative. I've not had a ton of experience with trolls. I only had one death threat ever, and it was very, very veiled. But it was, but I'm talking about it because it really frustrates me that, like, my joke was totally missed. And maybe I, as a comedian, failed because I didn't make the connection. But Black Panther had just come out. Stan Lee was still alive. And I had not seen Black Panther, but I had seen other Stan Lee films. So I know that what's famous about him is he makes a cameo in these movies that are based on the comics he's created. And so I said, Black Panther could have had an all-black cast if Stan Lee wasn't always doing those cameos. It was something like that. And it was just supposed to have, like, comic book nerds be like, oh, that's funny because he's always in them. You know, like, they were... Oh, you know what? I said it wrong. My joke was Black Panther would have had an all-black cast, except Stan Lee is still alive. And so that was supposed to make you make the connection of like, oh, yeah, if he's alive, he's going to be in this movie. Right. So anyway, people were like, what are you saying? You wish he was dead? Mm-hmm. Maybe you should die. Like, I got several versions of that. Of just
yeah, people
you're crazy lady.
Yeah, they misunderstood the joke part of it because of the wording. And then, they had to flip it with their own negativity.
They did. And truly, like, if you didn't think I was joking and you thought I was very angry, what a harsh thing to say. I'm like, too bad that old fart's still kicking because this movie almost could have been progressive for my people. So, I just thought that was absurd. But it didn't. I don't respond to that. Like, I didn't then write him back and say, no, let me explain the joke.
You didn't flip these trolls because you're talking about flipping them.
I didn't try to flip that troll.
Have you flipped a troll? Have you flipped some good trolls?
Have I ever flipped a troll? I feel like there was one woman who was very pro-Trump, and so every time I did something that I guess could be detected as liberal, and I don't do a ton of political tweets unless something is trending. I'll do it late night style and try to say what's funny about this thing that everybody's talking about. But apropos of nothing, like unprompted, I do not sit there and rant about the administration. So anyway, if it was just about like guns, she would always insert like, actually, as a gun carrying member of the NRA, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, thanks for the extra info. Like, it just became irritating, but I would just respond with the one positive thing I could see in her thing of just like, she'd be like, actually, I have my daughter and I teach her how to shoot, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. You're a good mom. You know, like, just, you know, it sounds like you like spend some time with your kid. And I would just kind of, what is that called where you undercut?
Kill it with kindness.
What? Yeah, I kind of kill them with kindness of just like see the good in what they're saying so that they get distracted. It's kind of like when my toddler, she's 1.5, if she's throwing a tantrum, I try to empathize with her and see where she's coming from, but also if I can just distract her, she forgets it all. She's just not as mad anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm not letting you have lip balm right now, am I? But what is this shiny spoon? And she'll be like, oh, spoon, you say.
That's good. Good momsmanship there. The classic.
Yeah, you just hope.
Distract them.
You just hope to have the energy to distract. It takes work, honestly. Like, it takes more effort to just ignore. Less effort to ignore a troll, and more effort to go back in there and make a friend. But honestly, it's usually, you know, it's coming from not a place of boredom or often a place of hate, but usually a place of like self-loathing or life is hard. Sarah Silverman has like a super well-known moment where a troll was just attacking her and she kind of reached in and tried to see what was going on in his life, and he ended up suffering from maybe chronic back pain, and then she helped him like raise money to get it taken care of or something like that. Like, she used her following to kind of turn the tide on that conversation.
Yes, a lot of the time, the super angry trolls who are just only spewing like very vitriolic hate and stuff like that. It's obviously something that they're trying to work through on their own personal selves, right?
Usually you have to know that. But honestly, if you're on social media and you're feeling very vulnerable and then someone attacks you on top of that, I don't expect you to have the strength to then become their therapist. I don't think you need to put up with that. So I think only if you're in a healthy place and you have the time, you should give most people the benefit of the doubt, because I've trolled people before. I remember I made a joke. I was trying to build on a joke that Mr. George Wallace, that's his handle, that legendary comedian George Wallace
Legend.
wrote. I think he was singing the Empire Carpets theme. It was just some, he's dabbling with his very absurd voice on Twitter. It was really, really fun. And so I was like telling him, sounds like you're having a stroke. As this is just like a catchphrase in my household. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's not very sensitive to people who have had strokes.
No.
So he just was like, I think he called me an asshole. It's like, who's this asshole telling me I'm sick? And it's just like I hit a nerve, and I just kept apologizing. Like, no, I was trying to be funny, and it failed. Sorry. But I know what that's like. Like, if he didn't think I was trying to be funny, if he just thought I was out of here being like, sit down.
Yes. That's and I think that's a lot of it. The miscommunication leads to these like little mini skirmishes, these little mini back and forths on Twitter. It's like if someone reads a joke tweet seriously, or reads a serious tweet as a joke, or doesn't get the nuance, or doesn't get like who is actually communicating the statement. Like you don't know that it's actually the creator of the video game that you're talking to, who like said something about the video game that you disagree with, but it's like, who created the video game? It's like, and these people will reply without actually knowing anything about who they're talking to. It's kind of really mind-blowing, but it's just part of the internet culture that we're dealing with here. I
mean, I'm not going to act like I haven't been there. I've been obtuse, or I've wanted my voice heard and thought like, nope, my opinion matters more than this guy, so I'm going to speak up. And it comes across as trolling, and it's like, okay, now I know.
Yes, but we all have to learn the lesson, right?
You have to know that other people have their off days too.
Well, because you were saying that you've been on Twitter since 2010, did you say?
2008 is when I just found this out. Like I researched when my account was created, but and I totally used the early days were just like getting tacos. Like it was very boring.
Hashtag tacos.
The point. I didn't get it because prior to that there was MySpace had a status at the top, like what are you doing? It was like some kind of question, and so it would say your name. It'd be like Abby is, and then you'd say having a taco. So I just thought, okay, so Twitter's just it's like that, but since you're doing multiple things during the day, it gives you a chance to change your status constantly.
Yes.
So it was just a very chronicle, and I still didn't see the point, but I thought it was good for family. I thought it was like, okay,
just
if
keep
your
track.
Family doesn't have time to call you and see where you are, you can just say, hey, I went to, El Jarapeo today to have some tacos.
Great. Yeah, exactly. And people sort of, and it has evolved, and people sort of figured out how to use it differently. But that's why I didn't join for so long, but like from 2008 to 2011 or whenever I joined, because I was like, well, why do I need another Facebook status update? I can just like use a Facebook status update, but I don't use that on Facebook. So why would I use it on a separate thing? Is what I was thinking. But then, and then I was like, oh, I can post jokes and meet cool people and like yell at Shaq or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was all about meeting people who are working in my field, including Shaq. So for me, it was always about networking, and it was always about whatever your tweet feed is, it's a record. It's like a portfolio of your jokes.
Yes.
So that's different than I think how people use it today, and how I maybe use it is like there are a lot of people who are funny who just do not aspire to write professionally or don't have the means to like change their career and overhaul it. So they just want to live in the non-entertainment industry town where they live and just be funny and, connect with famous or non-famous people. And so that's like you just said, it's more about like joking with your friends than it is about submitting a submission packet.
A packet.
So yeah, submitting a packet. Yeah, it's a little bit different for most people. And I think no matter who you are on Twitter, you can use it however you want, but that's how I use it. So I don't always retweet things with swears. I know I said the A word here on your show, and I apologize, but I kind of try to keep it clean because that's on stage when I joke. I don't use swear words. So my Twitter kind of reflects my stage persona.
Yeah, you got a tight brand, Curly Comedy. So that was pretty good that you were able to lock that down. How did you do that? Or you just decided that was your thing? You're like, oh, this is available.
Yeah, what did I think? I thought that my name didn't fit. I was going to go Abby Crutchfield. And I also, so at the time it was like cutting off two of the letters or one of the letters.
Oh, yeah.
So I just thought, I don't want to be a Crutchfield. And people probably won't know how to spell Abby anyway. So if I say on stage, hey, follow me on Twitter, I'm Abby Crutchfield. That's ABBI, like ice cream. Like, I just thought
yeah, you'd have to add an extra.
It. So I thought I need to say something that audibly people know how to spell when they hear it. And surprisingly, people do not know how to spell curly. Sometimes they want to add an E, but whatever. So Curly Comedy, my hair is curly. I just thought, like, what's one thing about me that you see instantly and you know? And then in the comedy part is just like, it was from an era, like the mid-aughts was when everybody had a website, and their website, they thought the URL had to explain what you were going to. So you couldn't just go to, jerryseinfeld.com. You had to go to seinfeldthecomedian.com.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So that's why, so the branding had to do with that. And also I thought Curly Comedy can lend itself to all kinds of products. I was building an empire in my mind. I was like, J-Lo was entering perfume. So I was like, why can't I do it too? But turns out in the modern celebrity worship culture, you should use your full name.
Right. Yes.
That was even before verification. I joined before people were getting verified. And then when people were starting to get verified, it was because you were a known celebrity. Then people in journalism were getting verified that you'd never heard of, who didn't have a ton of followers. And I became obsessed with like, well, I'm a public person. Why can't I get verified?
Yes. The verified game was very big at one point. And it was so all these journalists who were, maybe you've never heard of because they just write on some blog, but they're affiliated with a verified organization who like vouches for them, and that's how they get verified. But then there's all these other people who sort of maybe should be verified, but like either they don't care, they haven't followed up with their like management team or something like that, or they just don't care for whatever reason. And then there's other people who are like middle level who are aspiring to be someone, to have a voice, and getting the blue check mark would be a huge boost, right? Because then you get you get like boosted in all the searches and everything like that. So like I can definitely see why people would want to be verified. It's a crazy game. And when they suspended verification, so many people got mad. When they take your check mark away.
They did, you could no longer apply for it. There was just one, I got in a good time where I had applied probably 4 years in a row. And I even tried through when I worked at College Humor, like everybody right before I joined the staff had gotten verified because BuzzFeed had gotten verified. They decided like online news coverage counts as journalism. So BuzzFeed News got verified, then BuzzFeed writers got verified. So College Humor was like, hey, BuzzFeed's our competitor for comedy material. We should get verified. So they all did. And then I joined. And I'm like, well, if you guys have a tick, can I have a tick? And they're like, yeah, you can ask. And they were like, whoever they was, like the people who they directed me to write to were like, sorry, not at this time. We're no longer doing that.
Oh my goodness.
So just for years, I just kept trying to do it in a legitimate way of like, hello, I write for this publication. Or hello, I'm a comedian who's been on this television show and that television show. And it was just kind of like, nope. Access denied. And then one day somebody told me out of the blue, like, hey, well, one guy tried to tell me, hey, you can buy your verification this way. And I was like, no, I am broke and I don't think that's legit. But after that window passed, there's another guy who said, just include your credits and fill out this form. So I did, and I got verified. And then I told my husband to do it too, because he's a comedian, Luke Thayer.
Shout out.
And he's got credits and stuff. But they closed that window. He's like, what? Where's that link? It's broken. It didn't work. And then it's like, yep, they took it away.
Dang, you got in just under the wire after missing the other wire.
Exactly. I missed other easy windows, and then I got a different easy window. So maybe another window's coming.
Wow. Well, I did try it one time. I was like, why not? Just want to see what it's like. Just fill out the little application and see, how quickly they say no, because I am really nobody of note. So it did not work. But, I tried, and it was eye-opening, right? Like, for a while I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. Like, it would be really neat if I was verified. But then also, why? Like, do I really need that? No.
Well, you have a podcast now, so it's not like you're not in the public. You're a public figure, essentially.
Yeah, and I did have the podcast at the time. That's what I was thinking. So I'm like, but the podcast isn't verified, and I guess also literally anyone can do a podcast, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, yeah, you have to submit to it on iTunes, but they basically will if your link works, they'll pretty much put you through.
That's cool. Yeah, so who knows? I mean, and also it doesn't mean everything. For me, I think, like, especially in entertainment, there's a ton of little milestones you can have, like notches on your belt that make you feel like, okay, I belong now. But ultimately, you have to be the one that tells yourself you belong. You know, if you're not in a union, you don't have representation, but you are making the art and you are developing your craft and you're getting better at it, then that's truly, and you're getting paid at it, like, professionally, then that's the legitimacy that you need to give yourself. You know, you don't need a little blue check mark to mean it.
That's right. Good point. Yeah. And for anybody out there who's in that situation, don't worry about that blue check mark. It doesn't mean anything. People know who's funny online from the tweets.
What matters is that Cheetos sends you free Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah, what matters is that you make friends with brands online.
That's the other thing that's so crazy to me, because I come from, like, old school entertainment that is, you need to be a spokesman or a sponsor. And this is prior to, like, vloggers on YouTube who build their own following. That kind of changed the landscape a little. But now anybody can be considered an influencer if, you know, whether they do it professionally or not, if they just agree to endorse the product. So it's like, I don't know. It's just this era of brands, like, really pulling one over on the public in exchange for not actual pay, which is what you've earned, and nothing close to what we earn based on your endorsement. We're going to give you, like, a drop in the bucket, which is this free sample. Yeah. And you then, you know, you can say you hate it, you can say you love it, but the fact is they just want you to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
hey, it's true.
Yeah, they're getting the better end of the deal right now. And guys, you need to know your worth.
It's the Wild West of, like, marketing out there now. Like, it's a changing landscape. Like, it's never been changing sort of this quickly, and so marketers of all shapes and sizes are, like, trying to adapt. And we got these influencers. We got this new gig economy. We got people who, now that Instagram, you can buy products, like, with 2 clicks through Instagram. That was, like, a big thing. Mm-hmm. So basically all the platforms created this, like, 2 clicks to a purchase thing. So it's all being monetized. So you gotta watch out, kids. It's all changing out there.
Yeah. Wake up, kids.
Wake up.
Or enjoy.
Or
just the ride. I don't
know.
Take
Cheetos. The blue pill and just go back to the steakhouse. From the Matrix.
I know the lesson we're supposed to learn there, but I totally sided with the villain in that.
A lot of people came out being like, Joey Pants had some good points.
Joey Pants, is that his?
Joe Pantoliano. Joe Pantoliano. Yeah, we call him Joey Pants.
I like Joey Pants. Is he Canadian?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, he's like Italian American. All right.
He's a good actor, and go check him out in films through the 90s into today, the early 2000s.
He's the best. All right, thanks for having me, Steven.
Oh, Abby, we're getting to the best part of the show.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You know what? I did that thing. I did. I heard it in your voice that you were wrapping up.
I was wrapping up the main discussion, and then I was segueing. But that's great. What's it? Podcast instinct. Like, you sense the wrap up coming.
Right.
Very good. I'm sure you've been on some good podcasts. What are some podcast highlights?
Oh, some favorites?
Yeah.
Golly. I don't know. I'm not going to even list the actual favorites. I'm just going to list the ones that pop into my head, so it doesn't count. But I think all podcasts are worth listening to if you like the gimmick that they're selling. Like, if you're into cocktails, you should listen to the episode I'm on where I drink a cocktail, and that one cocktail podcast. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. And now we will start to wind it down, and we're getting into everyone's favorite part of the show. It's the questions from Twitter. So thank you to everyone who has sent in a question to @FOTS for Abby to answer. And the first question comes to us from friend of the show, Dave Cactus @Dave_Cactus on Twitter. One of the best
He's
Daves.
so funny.
One of the best Cactuses online. So funny and very nice. And you know what? He's pretty good at bass. Got to check him out on bass wherever you are right now.
The instrument bass? I thought you were
the
talking
bass.
about a
He
new
plays
app.
bass. Yeah, this is some inside knowledge. So Dave asks Abbi. Hello, Abbi. Is it true that you will be giving Dave Cactus, me, his one big break into show business?
I will, Dave, right now with my professional endorsement here on the FOTS podcast.
Woo.
Dave Cactus is very funny, and you should follow him.
You heard it here,
That's your
folks.
break, baby.
You
I'm a
heard it
verified
here.
account, baby.
Yeah, from a verified account to in a huge, heavy endorsement to an unverified account, Dave_Cactus on Twitter. You got to check him
He
out.
has more followers than me. I don't know. I haven't checked lately, but he's probably doing pretty well on his own. I don't think he needs a big break.
He's doing fine.
But we all want one. I mean, I know that people with like 200 followers never wanted to give me a follow Friday. They'd be like, why should I give you a follow Friday? You have so many followers already. And I'm like, because I don't have your 200.
Yeah. If you just get one extra follower from each.
Yes. You just want, everybody always wants an endorsement. So yeah, Dave, here's your big break. You've got it.
This is it. And I'll have to second that notion. Dave Cactus is one of the best. If I haven't mentioned it before, mentioning it now, you got to follow him. You got to check him out. Hilarious tweets and sideburns that just can't be beat.
That's right. Sideburns that just won't quit.
Dude is on a mural. He is a huge mural. He's a part of his town. He's part of the history of his town. It's so cool. All right, so thank you very much, Dave, for the great question, and thank you, Abbi, for that glowing endorsement. All right. Yep. Oh, I hear some clattering. That can only mean one thing. A Reporterbeest. Oh, the next question comes to us from @FlashEmber on Twitter. He's a clattering wildebeest, and he's clattering up here, and it's a Reporterbeest fumbling with the mic. Question number 1. Abbi, is it true that you hate pineapples?
I'm going to squash that rumor right now. I don't know how it got started, but I have frozen pineapple in my freezer right now for smoothies. And then I also thaw them in the microwave. I put them in oatmeal. All right. Like, I will eat a pineapple. I had pineapple fried rice for lunch today.
Whoa.
No, the rumors are unfounded.
The rumors
Pineapple
are
and
not
I
true.
are not getting divorced. We are very much in love.
Squash that rumor. But how do you feel about squash?
Squash, you know what? I keep trying to make it work with squash. I put squash in some muffins before. Mm-hmm. I usually only eat it in the fall.
Yeah.
And then I put like butter and brown sugar on it, but I've been trying to eat less sugar, so I don't know how things are going to go with me and squash. Like if I can't figure out another way to have squash, it's going to be over. Right.
Not going to work in your oatmeal.
No, I've tried it and it doesn't work all that well. It just makes it real thick and gloopy. I don't like the texture. No.
Squash that rumor, but it is not true that she hates pineapples. Pineapples are great.
Yeah. I love pineapple scented things. I mean, we could talk a long time.
We could go deep on pineapples.
Podcast? Anyone out there? I'd love to be on it.
That's a good niche, just a pineapple podcast. It's like I only recently learned that that's a thing you put by your door for weird reasons.
To do what? Attract ants?
No, you just like, it's like a symbolic thing. You know, like those weird symbolic things that are like cultural things, whatever. So apparently you put a pineapple by your door. It doesn't have to be real, but like any kind of like picture of a pineapple or like a fake pineapple. So we have like a picture of a pineapple by our door, but I don't know what it is for, but it's like,
know what it's doing?
I don't know, but I know that is a thing.
Spirits. It could be helping your fertility. I mean, you got to look into your symbolism, Dave.
I really do.
Steve.
It was my wife. My wife hooked it up, so
she knows. She knows what it's all about.
Yeah, she knows. Shout out to Kat. Yeah, pineapple door. It's a thing. A pineapple welcome.
I've never heard of somebody who follows.
Oh, it looks like it's an East Coast. It's an East Coast thing. I'm only finding.
Googling. Are you doing your Jeff Goldblum impression again?
I'm only finding stuff that's like selling it. I'm not finding the true information. Okay, so question number 2. If you had to live on a deserted island until you died, what 3 timelines would you print off now to have there and nothing else?
This is imagining that I would want to read the timelines on my printed paper and not want to use the printed paper for fire.
Yeah, carrying these suitcases of printouts.
Yeah, let's imagine on this deserted island, it's got electricity and Wi-Fi. Well, then I won't need to print off the things. I have to be isolated to a point where I can't actually read their timelines. Okay, so I think the real crux of the question is whose timelines do I like to read? But I'm really hung up on the fact that I'm on a deserted island left to die.
With printed paper.
Think reading anyone's timeline would be my priority for entertainment. But who has a good entertaining timeline? This is a good chance to shout out. This is like when you ask me what are good podcasts right now. My mind is a soup of just people whose names I know and whose stuff I like to read. So I even tried to curate lists at one point on Twitter to show people like who I follow and like, just so that I wouldn't have to rattle them off or follow Friday them. I'd be like, just look at my list.
Check my list.
Because Shauna, see, now I'm going to mess up her name too, but there's some people who I retweet pretty regularly who always make me laugh. Kashana Cauley or Macaulay, I forget her name. She's a writer, and she's African-American. She's a woman. She's pretty darn funny. She often will manually retweet a headline and then add her own spin, which I enjoy.
Okay, so you get a little bit of news, a little bit of entertainment.
Yeah, she'll keep me, let's just say I get a running ticker. I didn't print off these timelines, but I still get a ticker coming in of a hard copy timeline. Hers would be that because it would keep me up to date on the headlines. And then my own, because it's dynamite. I like to it's more like the way you have a scrapbook and you like to look back at your own pictures and see how you've changed. I really would print out my own just to be like, stay encouraged and be like, you were funny at one point. Good job, kiddo. And then a third one, I mean, there are a ton of women in my direct message group who make me laugh pretty regularly, so it would kind of be like access to that DM room combined.
DM room. Print out the DM room.
Pigeon Fancier, Isabel.
Shout out, friend of the show, Isabel.
Yeah, great. Isabel's hilarious on there. Jennifer McAuliffe, who's also Canadian and funny, is on there. Jedi Gigi, and dang it, I can't remember these real names. Like I toggle between people's actual names and their handle.
Yes.
So Joe, there's a woman named Joe who's super funny in that group. Anyway,
what you're talking about?
They're all great.
So
Abbi
many
Feldman,
great.
Is she a friend of the show? She's super funny.
So good. So many good Abbis, right?
Yeah, dude. If your name's Abbi, you need to join Twitter because you belong there.
That's where the Abbis are.
And that used to be like a self-deprecating joke. I was like, you might know me from the internet, but now it's like, heck yeah, man. I like to write jokes pretty regularly, and that's where I like to hang. That's like my favorite place to be, besides real-world places, is on Twitter.
Yeah, like I'm that person from Twitter. Like when people said that before, I was like, now I'm like, yeah, I am. And the question from Beast is, your favorite animal?
Dang it. Well, like, I have a very close relationship with my two dogs, but I don't know, can they count as your favorite animal if, like, in real life you think a rhinoceros is super majestic? Like, rhinoceroses look like dinosaurs, but also unicorns, and also a hippo, which are super cute. And also they have, like, the bigness and the roundness of a manatee, but the toughness of an elephant. Elephants are pretty great, too.
I think your answer is rhinoceros.
I guess, but it's more like big creatures. I like blue whales. I like elephants. I like rhinos. They're smart. They're lovable.
And gigantic.
You wish you could hug them, but you can't because they could kill you. And it's just like, yeah, I think I have a soft spot for kind of misshapen things. That's why all my animals that I've ever rescued are like kind of broken down. If health is failing and their looks are not that great because they're just like, I don't know, I have a soft spot for that.
Maybe a wildebeest? How big is a wildebeest?
Oh my gosh, it's been right there in front of me. A wildebeest, sir.
There you go. So thank you very much for the questions, Beast, at Flash Ember on Twitter. Go ahead and clatter over to his timeline and give him a follow. Thank you so much. And the next question, as we start to wind it down, a couple more questions here, comes to us from a llama. I'm talking about at Llama in a Tux. This is a friend of the show. His name's Kevin.
Classy llama.
He's very classy. That's the tuxedo. And the question for Abbi is, what's the greatest website on the internet other than Twitter?
Kevin is very, very funny. Greatest website. Do people check out websites anymore? Like, Twitter's an app in my phone.
I believe it to be an app, but people call it a website. Or a hell site. I
guess I would have to say Instagram.com. I mean, that's the second place that I spend my life is if I'm not on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. But
shout out to all your accounts. Curly Comedy, the nail art one, the dog one.
No. There's way too many. There's some I haven't even listed anymore. Like there's some
your
time capsule accounts.
Finstagram. You got that? You got a Finsta?
I remember at one point I was running 7 Instagrams and like 12 Twitter accounts just for friends and for family and just like and organizations and my church. Like I was just doing everybody's Twitter, and I was like, trust me, I'll get it going and then you pick it up.
Social media maven.
But no, remember Everything is Terrible? Was that ever a website? I used to love the old footage that they would find. Is that still a website?
I don't remember that, but no, it's like early internet.
Maybe it was a Tumblr account. I don't know, but it was
it might have been a Tumblr. Well, there you go. So thank you very much, Llama, for that great question. And now we get to the final question sent in from friend of the show, the aforementioned Teeth Father. I'm talking about Brandon. I'm talking about at Le Bear Girdle. So great. And Brandon asks.
Brandon. Was yes. Is it Brendan or Brandon?
It's Brandon.
Brandon. Okay, sorry. I thought I heard
2
Brandon
A's.
for a second. Brandon. Yeah, that's why I like him. He's got a unique spelling like me. AVBI. Only me and Abbi Jacobson that I know of spell it this way.
Okay.
And Brandon is my only Brandon that I know.
So you guys can, you can commiserate over having the interesting spelling.
Having, customer service people never know how to spell your name. Or Starbucks.
Or just spell it wrong, right? Like, they just go ahead and guess.
Yeah, and that's fine, too. Whatever.
It is fine. You got to keep the line moving. All right. So
exactly.
The question from Brandon is, Abbi, I'm nervous. What do you think about giving me an high five sometime? It's been a while, and you seem like you would be able to really connect with me on a spiritual high five level. Also, how are you so great?
Oh, man.
Just snuck that in at the end.
Let me just answer the first part first. Yeah, you can have a high five anytime. I mean, when it comes to giving an high five, I am a big... He is such a silly goose. And thanks for the compliment. And I'm going to leave that as a rhetorical question, the second one. Because,
we'll just leave it at that. And I guess we'll just leave it at that. So thank you so much, Abbi, for being a guest on the podcast. And I wrap it up by playing that theme as we say our goodbye.
Thank you, Steven. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. And everyone got to go check out Abbi on all the aforementioned things. Instagram, Twitter, Curly Comedy. Don't forget, late night TV. That's it. All right. Bye, Abbi.
Bye.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Abbi. Please follow at Curly Comedy on Twitter and Instagram for more fun stuff. Her hilarious tweet with a reflection in a puddle is so great. You gotta go check it out. And also, good listeners would follow at FOTS Pod on Twitter. Get notified about the latest episodes and when to send questions that are read on the show. And I am active on Twitter at SkinnerSteven. Now, if you want more friends of the show, head over to www.stevenwskinner.com for all the old episodes, or check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, thank you to Ruby Coast for the music, and thank you to Kyle I. Davidson for the theme, and thank you so much for listening. Send me a message. I am Stephen W. Skinner saying, have a great one.